Well, another Monday Night Raw is in the books. It is the fallout from Payback. This is your Monday Night Raw review for September the 4th, 2023. I am Matt the Misfit. This is the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. And I want to give my plugs here at the beginning of the show. Misfit Podcast TV on Twitter, Misfit Wrestling Pod on Instagram, the other audio outlets that you find the show at: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, and Pandora. And of course, right here on YouTube.com/@Misfit Wrestling Podcast, where you can hit that subscribe button, comment down below, leave a like and a comment. Do all that stuff at the beginning of the thing if you want to. Who knows? Up on the channel. You got your Stardom review for your 5-star special in Hiroshima. And All Out all went up around the same time last night or this morning, whichever one you want to decide. And we got the Payback review on the channel as well. We're going to try to get back to doing the actual shows during the week, like tonight's Raw Dynamite, which should be very interesting now because it's going to be the first Dynamite without CM Punk since he started with the company. So all that and much, much more. But this is Monday Night Raw, where we have a new, well, not a new Intercontinental Champion. We actually have a brand new record holder, as Gunther has become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in the history of the company. And in my opinion, and I put out this tweet earlier, I said, and I quote, Gunther is the greatest Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. Put some motherfucking respect on the ring general's name. So, yeah. We also saw the quote-unquote debut of Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw. But mainly as a member of the Monday Night Raw roster. We found out during the show that because Jey Uso was traded from SmackDown to Raw, eventually there will be a trade from Raw to SmackDown, and we're going to talk about who that is. We also seen an interesting development with Tommaso Ciampa. We'll talk about that as well. JD McDonagh again tries to prove himself to be part of the Judgment Day. Damian Priest got a new Money in the Bank contract. Or not contract, but contract briefcase is what I'm saying. And, you know, we had a tease of a heel turn with Drew McIntyre. But Raw opened up with Jey Uso. He comes out, says, welcome fans to Raw. Says that he's only been gone for 2 to 3 weeks, which is technically true, but he says it's been felt like it's been a little bit longer than that. But he felt like he kept hitting his breaking point on television every week. He says Cody Rhodes unexpectedly called him up. It's why he's on Main Event Mondays now by himself. Sami Zayn's music hits. He comes down to the ring. He tells Jey it's crazy to see him on Raw. Says that there's a lot of people that will have a big problem with him being on here. And himself and Kevin Owens haven't always seen eye to eye about this whole situation with the bloodline and all that. Says he wants to be the first one to say, to the first person to say to Jey on Raw that he's happy to hear that he's here to be here on the show. Says he knows the kind of guy Jey is, and despite how hard it was, he broke free and standing on his own 2 feet, become who he's always been. Sami says that he knows that him and Jey have a long history, but he's proud of him. He doesn't expect them to be best friends out of the gate here. Sami extends his hand out to Jey Uso to shake hands. Jey doesn't shake it. Sami says, that's fine. He's around whenever he's ready to talk. Sami looks to leave, and Jay's like, well, that wasn't very Uso of me. He sends out his own hand here, and Sami doesn't waste any time and offers to hug him. Instead, as Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, well, Sami's left, Jey Uso, as he's walking up the ramp, Drew McIntyre comes down to the ring. He does a stare down with Jey Uso, leading Sami to come out and say, hey, relax, give him a chance. Then Matt Riddle comes out, does the same thing as McIntyre. Sammy again, it's like, relax, man. And what I loved about this, before we get to the Viking Raiders, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, tornado tag match, what I liked about this was the fact that Jey Uso has to earn his way, earn the respect of people, the people that he's fucked over in the past, year and a half, 2 to 3 years, I believe, if that's what I said. Yeah, having Jey making amends with everybody he fucked over with the bloodline, I love that. That's great. That's great storytelling there. Because, like I said, with Sammy, it's kind of like the same way with Sammy and Kevin. Kevin didn't immediately forgive Sammy for what he did. It took him a while. It took him up to 2 to 3 weeks before WrestleMania that they decided to embrace. Of course, that was because of Cody Rhodes. Once again, Cody playing peacemaker through this whole thing here. We'll talk about Cody Rhodes in a little bit here. Then we got backstage Adam Pearce chatting with Ricochet about his future. Talking about his losing to Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Pearce becomes distracted by Seth Rollins, who isn't supposed to be there, according to Adam Pearce, saying he's not medically cleared. Rollins assures he's fine. Ricochet tries to reason with him, but Rollins is like, dude, I'm cool, I'm all right. Walks away. Then we got the Tornadoes tag match here between McIntyre and Matt Riddle and the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders get the win here, as McIntyre, I guess, is getting ready to do something here, as Raiders look to plant Matt Riddle through the table, but Kofi Kingston runs in to provide a hand to Matt Riddle. Lands a series of strikes on the Raiders. Looks to hit a Trouble in Paradise on Ivor, but he ducks and out of the way and accidentally hits Riddle in the face. Raiders then use Kofi Kingston to level McIntyre to deliver a double power bomb through Riddle onto the table and to get the win. Or through the table onto to get the win. And McIntyre is fucking pissed. You can, the tease, they've been teasing, it seems like they've been teasing this heel turn with Drew McIntyre for a while now. And I'm for it because there's a thing that happened later on with McIntyre that I am very excited for. Seth Rollins comes out, who's supposedly not medically cleared, but he's out here dancing around and all that shit. Welcome people to Monday Night Rollins or whatever. Says that something hadn't set with him since Payback. The fact that Nakamura was able to walk out of the building while he was pushed away in a wheelchair by his wife, Becky Lynch. He then calls Nakamura out to the ring. Nakamura, who has slick-looking new graphics, by the way, appears on the ramp. I still don't like. This is one thing I sort of didn't like because they just decided to give this man a microphone, which I hate it. I hate it. I really do hate American wrestling fans sometimes. Rollins tells him to get side of the ring because he has a proposition for him. Nakamura remains on the ramp. Rollins then says there's only one way to get him in the ring, and that's offer him another shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. Nakamura slowly heads to the ring, but then he turns around, speaks in something in Japanese. I'm pretty sure HD Subs is gonna have a subtitled version of that. You can find that on HD Subs Twitter or on YouTube somewhere. But Rollins says he's assuming that Nakamura is accepting his challenge, but Nakamura is like, nah. Rollins has had enough with Nakamura's childish games. Meets Nakamura up on the ramp. The pair began brawling with one another. Officials came out here to separate the two. Ricochet comes in to pull Rollins off Nakamura off Rollins, rather. They begin brawling, and then more officials had to separate them as well. And then we go back to break. Adam Pearce is chewing out Rollins backstage, explaining that he's trying to protect him, but Rollins is having none of it and just storms off. I don't know if this was a shot at CM Punk, but if it was, oh boy. Nakamura Ricochet, this match was it was all right, but the match didn't get a definitive winner because near the end of it here, Ricochet delivers a single leg code breaker for a splash, looks for a splash in the corner, then delivers a running knee to his chest, then delivers a cannonball off the apron as Nakamura is outside waiting for him, but it charges at him. Nakamura does that rather. Ricochet then dumps Nakamura into the timekeeper's area. Nakamura grabs a chair, it just smacks it across the back of Ricochet, causing a disqualification. Ricochet, technically as a result of a DQ, wins the match here. After the match, Nakamura starts beating the shit out of Ricochet with the chair, and he's put at the head of Ricochet between the chair, and I'm like, what is he about to do? Is he about to do something really sick? I was kind of hoping. It looked like he was setting up for a Kinshasa, and I was kind of wishing he had hit that because it would have looked sick. But Rollins came out there, attacks Nakamura. Then he goes flying off the top rope, levels the officials on the outside. Nakamura further beats on Rollins. Ricochet tried to save. Nakamura escapes, and that's how that segment ends. So it looks like they're probably going to do Nakamura Rollins 2 at Fastlane, and hopefully there's a good chance that they're just going to have Nakamura win the title at the next pay-per-view. I don't know why. It just feels like they're going to do that. Something like that here. Then we got Judgment Day. Because it's, it's Judgment Day here. Damian Priest, they all come to the ring. Priest, Balor, Rhea, Dominic. They come to the ring with all their titles. Priest calls all to rise for Judgment Day. Judgment Day, I believe it or not, before Dominic started speaking, was he actually getting cheers, positive cheers. Dominic then begins to speak, and then those cheers just went away immediately to boos. Massively boos. They continue while he's trying to speak. Brags about Rhea Ripley holding on to the World Women's Championship, or Women's World Championship, and Priest and Balor becoming undisputed tag team champions. Balor congratulates Dominic on 1 year in the Judgment Day, which is, I think that's correct. When did Clash of the Castle take place? Was that yesterday? Not yesterday. Wasn't that? I believe that was. Oh yeah, no, it was technically yesterday. It was technically the 3rd, but the 3rd fell on a Sunday, so that makes sense. And thanks Rhea for being the voice of reason. Balor tells Priest that despite their ups and downs, they managed to make it to the top. And gives a shout out to JD McDonagh for having his back for the past 20 years and himself for becoming Grand Slam Finn. And the fans started chanting, "You deserve it," which is true. Finn Balor's been through a lot of shit, but man, he is a Grand Slam champion. Now after winning the tag team titles, because he was the first ever Universal Champion. He was an Intercontinental Champion, the United States Champion. Now he's the tag team champion. So Rhea says that she gave Priest and Balor an ultimatum last week, but they managed to rise to the occasion. Says one thing that has been aggravating her is the fact that the focus isn't on one of them and their accomplishments. She expresses her frustrations with Jey Uso taking the attention away from the Judgment Day as the newest member of Raw. Says that as far as she's concerned, the bloodline has fallen and the Judgment Day has risen. And if I'm being completely honest, the Judgment Day are probably the most dominating faction in WWE right now. Sorry, they just find new ways to do something with this group here. And I wasn't saying this a year ago, by the way. Ever since Triple H took over creative, the Judgment Day have been the best thing on the show, or on this particular show, Raw. It's amazing what one dude creativity can. It's amazing what one person with the booking stuff can do for you in a year. JD McDonagh makes his way to the ring, has an item in a bag. Priest tells him not to make his reason for coming out here a good one. McDonagh says it's a good one. They owe him one for what he did at Payback to help them out. he says that he's out here because Rhea Ripley's saying changes are needed in the Judgment Day. There's something he agrees with, or that's something he agrees with, rather, and tells Priest that he needs to get the briefcase he has got to go. And Priest has this look of, bro, what are you doing? You came out here and said you had a good reason. He says he doesn't need it anymore because I should have a new one, and he unveils a new purple Money in the Bank briefcase that has Senior Money in the Bank on it. And Priest seems to love it and holds it up. Sami Zayn's music hits. He says that even though Kevin Owens isn't here tonight, they didn't seriously think that him and Owens was just going to forget about what happened at not Judgment Day. Imagine if they brought back Judgment Day for Judgment Day. I could see them doing that, by the way. Says that when he looks in the ring, he sees 5 champions, but doesn't see 5 champions, but rather 5 championship stealing turds. Which apparently that somehow got a weird ass chant from the crowd. Says that he has a special beating that is owed to Dominic Mysterio for being the deciding factor. Technically, really wasn't. A payback, then challenges to a match. McDonagh intervenes and says Dominic won't be fighting anyone tonight. He says Dominic was the only one who interfered in your match last Saturday. I challenges Zayn to a match, and both of them basically they accept here. Shayna Baszler heads to the ring after a segment we had earlier on in the night where Shayna interrupts Zoey Stark after Zoey Stark had a little confrontation, I guess, with Zoey Stark backstage here. This match was actually really good. Too bad that the crowd didn't give a shit about it here, but at one point, Zoey Stark delivers a German suplex on Baszler. She charges her into the corner. Baszler sends Stark into the ring apron. Stark lands a kick, follows that up with a drop kick off the top rope. Baszler then lands on a knee. Lands a knee onto Stark's face. Stark fires back with a thrust kick. Baszler gets up on her shoulders. Looks like she's going to hit the Z360, and they're using the quote unquote I guess the point of the match for Zoe's shoulder is bothering her because Shayna stepped on her earlier in the match, and they use that as part of a reason why she can get up on her shoulder, which I thought was pretty cool. Stark slams a splash on the off the apron, gets Baszler back in the ring. She looks to go flying in, and Shayna catches her, counters beautifully into the Karafuda clutch, and just holds on tight multiple times. She thought she was out of it. Eventually Zoey Stark fades out, and Shayna Baszler gets the win here. Shayna, continuing of that push for Shayna Baszler, which I'm glad to see, because I didn't want Shayna to be forgotten after SummerSlam, so that's good. After the match, Shayna and Stark were exchanging words. Shayna said, "Oh, you put up a better fight than Ronda ever did," and Stark said the same thing about her when it comes to Shotzi with Trish. They both fist bump for a show of respect. We go backstage with JD McDonagh, where Finn Balor makes suggestions, making McDonagh a member of the group. Damian says that he still thinks he needs to prove himself. Balor says they may not be the undisputed tag team champions right now if it wasn't for McDonagh. He asks Dominic what he thinks. Dominic says, well, he's cool, whatever you guys think. Rhea is asked for her opinion. She tells him that she wants to wait and see what happens with Sami Zayn tonight. She tells them to go check on McDonagh. Balor invites Priest to tag along. They both go off to check on JD. Dominic looks to join them, but Rhea's like, I need you to make sure everything goes with McDonagh goes smoothly tonight. Next up, we had a match with Raquel Rodriguez and Chelsea Green. Raquel, I guess, was in the office with Adam Pearce, doing something or other. I guess, doing something. She leaves. Chelsea Green comes in, says some stuff. They set up a match. This match didn't last very long. To heat a bomb for the win. 1, 2, 3. After the match, Raquel Rodriguez grabs a mic, says, basically she's getting a rematch with Rhea Ripley next week for the title with Dominic Mysterio, Dan from ringside. I know a lot of people are mad that Chelsea Green lost. I'm like, that's her character. Her character, it works for her character just to lose. Also, if Raquel's getting a championship match next week, Raquel shouldn't be losing a week before. This doesn't make a lot of sense, you know? The Miz. Okay, so I'll get to that first here. First, we had Drew McIntyre looking for, and I right, Drew McIntyre looking for Kofi backstage. Real sees him and tells him to calm down, but McIntyre gets worked up. Kofi then walks in and says that he apologized for what happened earlier tonight. Real says it's cool, but McIntyre isn't as forgiving. It tells Kingston to keep his eyes open in case any more accidents happen. There's also a point in this promo where Drew said that something about, I guess he said something about Jey Uso, where he said something like he's gonna, I guess, take care of the person who introduced him back or something. Cody Rhodes, I guess they're gonna tease Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre feud, which I'm okay with. If Cody's going to SmackDown, doing a small program before Cody goes to SmackDown with Drew McIntyre is perfect. I'm fine with that. Something I thought was actually really entertaining on the show, and I can't believe I'm saying this about The Miz, but The Miz came down here to have Miz TV with John Cena. Now, he comes out here, says basically, so Cena, quote unquote, comes through the ring here, and basically he's having an interview with an invisible John Cena. Of course, the joke is John Cena's whole shtick is you can't see me, and even 2K was playing up to it. They even have a invisible John Cena character called Super Cena. So they did this whole thing here. Miz, quote unquote, skull crushing finale to quote unquote John Cena. Though what to me would have made this segment a little bit more better. By the way, tonight he challenged LA Knight to a rematch, 1-on-1, no stipulations or whatever. Whenever they're gonna do that, we'll see. But what if won this segment over for me even more is if they actually had Miz take an invisible attitude adjustment. Like he gave himself an attitude adjustment, which would have been hilarious. Oh my God, that would have been hilarious, but they didn't do that. So, backstage with Jey Uso, as he runs into Adam Pearce warns him that someone from Raw will be traded to SmackDown as per orders from upper management. That rumored to be Cody Rhodes, which makes all the sense in the world for it to be Cody Rhodes. Another thing that I thought was interesting there, by the way, he also mentions that there are someone angry although some on Raw bound to be angry about it. Tommaso Ciampa then approaches him after Uso walks off and asks to talk. Pearce invites him to his office as it finishes their talk. Their talk is possibly about Johnny Gargano and reuniting DIY. And I put this out on Twitter earlier today, which I thought was very interesting here. I can find it. I said, the way feuding with the Judgment Day makes sense now now that I think about it. You can have DIY, Johnny and Ciampa, go after Finn and Priest. You can have Loomis, Stark, JD McDonagh, or Dominic Mysterio, and have Candice or Indy going after Rhea, or either one going after Rhea. It's just, you could do that. DIY versus Damian Priest and Finn Balor sounds like a lot of fun. Give it to me. Give me that to me. Sami Zayn, JD McDonagh. This match was okay. This really was just for Dominic to get involved here. Sammy was about to hit a Luva kick onto JD McDonagh. Dominic pulls McDonagh out of the ring while the referee is distracted. Zayn wastes no time clocking him. He fires right hands on Dominic. Then the same to McDonagh. Gets him in the back of the ring. Dominic hops on the apron, but Zayn levels him, which allows McDonagh to roll up Zayn for the win. And JD McDonagh gets the win here. After the match, Sammy begins to beat up down on Dominic, tries to escape, but Zayn prevents him. McDonagh, for a bit, tries to just watch this to happen. Eventually, he gets in there and stops the Luva kick from happening. Tells Dominic to get out of the ring, and Dominic then leaves. JD then takes one for the team. Following that here, backstage, Judgment Day, celebrating McDonagh's win. They look to head out before they can. Dominic says, I want to take care of something here real quick. They all left. Dominic then approaches Jey Uso, says that he knows what's been going on or what he's been going through. They both have Hall of Fame fathers. He says that from a man who didn't have a family to the man who now has the tightest family. He gets it. Basically, he tries to recruit Jey Uso into the Judgment Day. That's not going to happen, obviously, because if they're going to do War Games before Cody goes over to SmackDown, I can still see them do. Let's see. Would it be 4-on-4? Yeah, they can probably. Cody could still probably go over to SmackDown if it's going to be 4-on-4. You got JD, Ben, Priest, and Dominic and then on the other side you can have either Cody or Jey Uso, Sammy, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins. Maybe, you know what? It could be Cody. The more I thought about it, Cody, Owens, and Jey Uso makes a lot of sense on that end here. And then Seth Rollins could probably still feud with Nakamura, I guess, on that end there. But, we had main event here. Chad Gable challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. This match was awesome. Unfortunately, only 6 minutes of it was shown on television because of fucking commercials. But near the end of the match, ankle lock applies multiple times here. What ended it here for Chad Gable, though, was a fucking suplex that worked. I think Chad Gable landed on his fucking head. Gets a fucking power bomb done here, and then a clothesline for the win, and Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship, making him the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. Raw tonight, I thought was a very good effort. Solid show. Nothing too mega happened here. Things I did progress, like the JD McDonagh Judgment Day stuff. Nakamura and Shayna still being pushed. Nakamura remaining into the main event slot. Honky Tonk Man no longer has to brag about his Intercontinental Championship reign that no one remembers because it wasn't very good. Cody Rhodes possibly going over to SmackDown via trade. The tease of Tommaso Ciampa probably getting Johnny Gargano back on television. A lot of moving parts here, and I'm very excited to see where they go. Hopefully, who knows on that end there. But I will talk about the CM Punk news that came out earlier today about him possibly going back to WWE on Friday, on Sunday for the Pile Driver Pulse. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Monday Night Raw in the comments section down below. Hit that, or everyone else. You can even tell me on Raw how much you liked Raw. Or no, you can tell me that on Twitter how much you liked Raw. Like I said, Misfit Podcast TV on Twitter. But yeah, I've been Matt the Misfit. This has been the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I will see you guys back here for Wednesday Night Dynamite, the first Dynamite after CM Punk's firing. We'll probably find out who else is in this tournament to see who will be facing MJF at Grand Slam. Until then, we're out.